Ghostwire Tokyo just recently received an update and they added the official support for VRR, variable refresh rate. And you know me, I was very curious. Is there any improvement? And the question is really, is there any improvement? Because I made already a video about Ghostwire Tokyo on the PlayStation 5 and VRR, because VRR was already working back then a couple of days ago. The only difference what I found so far is that now you don't have to turn on VRR for unsupported games anymore, this button here, so you can leave it off, because now the game actually starts in VRR without any problem, as you can see here. So that's the only difference what I can find so far, because in terms of LFC, low frame rate compensation, there's no difference. Which means it is still not working. But let me just very quickly explain what is LFC actually for my new viewers, okay? I'm sorry for that, but we should do this again. So LFC means low frame rate compensation. So that means this will take care about the picture, or will take about stuttering and stuff like that when we are not in the VRR range anymore. So the VRR range on the PlayStation 5 is 48 Hz to 120 Hz. Okay, so we established this already. As soon we are out of the range, VRR can't work anymore. Okay, so we also need to talk about this again. As long we are in the VRR range, which means 48 Hz and 120 Hz. In this range, Hertz and frames per second are exactly the same. There is no doubt about this, okay? Because all what is happening, PlayStation 5, Xbox or PC, outputting a picture, let's say 100 FPS, and the screen will have 100 Hertz. When we have a change in frame rate, let's say from 100 to 80 frames per second, you will have 80 Hertz, okay? You can see frames and Hertz are absolutely the same as long we are in the VRR range. But when we fall out of the VRR range, that's the time when LFC should kick in. And I'm not going into the detail how LFC is actually working, because I did this already in a couple of videos in combination with my PC, the Xbox Series X and Elden Ring, and my LG CX. So on the Xbox Series X, LFC is just working perfectly. And this is what I would expect actually from the PlayStation 5 as well. But again, it is not working, and I will prove it in my test today as well. And please do me the favor, watch the whole test what I'm doing or what I'm showing you in a second, because it is very important to watch the whole part, because then you can understand why I'm thinking that LFC is not working. Okay, so let's watch this. Okay, so let's start with my settings on the PlayStation 5, and it is very important that you watch the whole part, because to understand what I'm trying to prove here. So VRR is disabled at this very moment, and also what is disabled is the 120 Hz output, because I like to have Ghostwire in the fixed 60 Hz mode. Okay, let me bring up this menu here, and you can see 60 Hz fixed. Okay, and we're starting with the performance mode, okay, which according to Digital Foundry runs in 60 FPS, but with some drops to 58, 57, whatever. And I'm very sure you can see this on your screen, because I'm recording in 60 FPS and you shouldn't see any stuttering here. But as soon we're looking down the road here, you should see some stuttering, okay? So that means we're falling below 60 FPS, because we are in a fixed 60 Hz mode. That means the maximum frame rate can be just 60 FPS, but it can be of course lower. But if it is lower, you will see this in stuttering, as you can see here. The frame rate is not 60 FPS anymore, you have stuttering. Here at this very moment, frame rate is 60 FPS, no stuttering at all. So let me change the option here, graphic option, and Ghostwire Tokyo is really a perfect game to test VRR actually. And I like to show you this one. High frame rate mode, performance mode, and VSync enabled, okay? So this mode, according to some websites, runs around up to 90, 100 FPS, okay? So much better than the normal performance mode, because you have a higher resolution. And because we are in the fixed 60 Hz mode, we're restricting the frame rate to 60 frames per second. and you shouldn't see any stuttering at all on your screen. It should be just a perfect experience right now. And this is what I can see on the screen as well. So even the game runs in the background with a higher frame rate, it will be limited to 60 FPS, but the result is a perfect stable 60 FPS experience. So what I like to do now is show you this graphic mode, because this is very important later on when we're testing VRR. So let me just bring up the information here again. So this is the high frame rate quality mode, which also has a reduced resolution compared to the normal frame rate mode, the normal quality mode, to actually exceed 60 FPS. And I'm very sure you can see some stuttering or heavy stuttering here, but at some point here, no stuttering. And then it starts again with stuttering, and then again here, no stuttering, okay? So keep this in mind that between this car here and maybe this dumpster, whatever this is, we have no stuttering, okay? I hope you can see this. You should be able to see it because it's 60 FPS, fixed 60 FPS. As soon we are here, you can see stuttering because we are below 60 FPS, okay? So let me activate VRR, and unfortunately we have to close the game because I like to have 120 Hertz as well to show you what I'm talking about. Where are we here? So let's turn this on, and let's turn this on as well, and let's just start the game again, which is no problem thanks to the fast loading times on the PlayStation 5. And as you can see, VRR information is changing to 120 Hertz output, and VRR is enabled. So we're jumping back into the game, and I haven't changed the graphic mode at all, okay? I'll just show you this again, just to verify. That's the same graphic mode where we established just before that we have 60 FPS here in this range, and you can clearly see this here. The VRR information at the moment shows 63 Hertz, which also means 63 frames per second, because we are in the VRR range at the moment, and in the VRR range, Hertz and frames per second are equal, okay? Because this is the trick from VRR. It will match the refresh rate from the screen with the frames per second from the game. So that's why you have here at the moment 63 frames per second. But keep in mind, now on your screen you will see probably stuttering the whole time, because I'm still recording with 60 FPS, but now we have our unlocked frame rate all over the place, okay? So even you have now 63 FPS at some stage, you will see stuttering because I'm just recording with 60 FPS. It is not the same anymore. But what I can tell you is that I have no stuttering at all here in this area, okay? So because you can see, we're talking about 50 Hertz, which means 50 FPS, and here we have around 59, up to, yeah, a little bit over 60 FPS here, okay? But as soon I'm looking down the road here, you can actually see what's happening. We're falling below 50, and now at some point we're falling below 48 frames per second, which is the range on the PlayStation 5 for VRR, and you can see now 118 Hertz. And this is not frame tripling or frame doubling at the moment, because if LFC would be enabled right now, first of all, I wouldn't have any stuttering, because I can see stuttering right now. In this area, there is a lot of stuttering going on because we are out of the VRR range and LFC is not working. And just keep in mind, if let's say we're falling below 40 FPS, let's say the frame rate here is 40 FPS. Just assume this, because I don't know what the frame rate is at the moment, because the VRR information at the moment is useless, okay? It just shows what the picture is actually in what mode it is. It is in the 120 Hertz mode. But let's assume we have 40 FPS. We will talk right now about frame doubling, which means we would actually see around 80 frames per second or 80 Hertz and not 118. And I can see that as soon it's changing to 118, I can actually see that this is heavily changing because we have such an unstable frame rate at the moment. I can see 47, I can see 50, I can see 70, and then I can see I'm not sure if I can see 90, but also 118 for sure. 118 is always that here or displayed, okay? So the fact that there is a lot of stuttering means really LFC is not working at all. And I proved already how LFC can work on the Xbox Series X and also on my PC. It is just working perfectly. In Elden Ring on the Xbox Series X, the frame rate always falls below 40 FPS, which is the range on the Xbox Series X in combination with my LG ZX. But thanks to LFC, we will have frame doubling, and the LG's TV still thinks we are in the VRR range, and you will have no stuttering at all. But here at the moment, at this very moment, you can see we fall below 49, 48. This is still okay. 48 frames per second, but you can see in the background there's already, we're jumping to 118. Here is a lot of stuttering issue, okay? So again, this proves that LFC is still not working in Tokyo Ghostwire or Ghostwire Tokyo. Okay, thank you very much for watching the whole part, if you watched the whole part, because it was very important actually that you understand where I'm coming from. And I apologize if I'm missing a crucial part here, because again, in my opinion, in this game, and let's focus on this game. I'm saying in this game at the moment, LFC is not working, because otherwise I wouldn't have any stuttering, okay? So that's the only proof I need, okay? I don't need any numbers on the screen. I don't need them. And I understand that this VRR information here is actually, it's not made to prove anything, okay? It's a nice tool, but it's far away from any professional tool, okay? Let's say it like this, okay? I don't have the right tool. I would need actually a monitor with accurate frames per second OSD display or something like this, or maybe a capturing device where I can capture the frames per second and also the VRR frames, of course. This would be proof that yeah, it is not working at the moment, LFC, okay? But I don't have this tool at the moment, so the only thing what I have is this VRR information and my eyes. And I proved more than once that LFC is working perfectly on the Xbox Series X, and when LFC kicks in, there is no stuttering at all. It is getting blurrier, the picture, because you know we have frame doubling, frame tripling and stuff like that. Of course it's getting a little bit messy, but no stuttering, no screen tearing at all. And this is not happening here. As soon we're falling out of the VRR range, we have stuttering, and this shouldn't happen at all if LFC is working. But again, and then I like to wrap up this video because it's already a little bit long. It is just right now in this game, okay? We're just talking about Ghostwire Tokyo at the moment. I can't verify anything else because there is no other game. There is no other game where we have a 120 Hertz mode and the frame rate drops below the 48 frames per second. The only game what I'm waiting for is Godfall, because I showed this already in one of my videos that as soon we're falling, so there's just 60 Hertz mode, okay? That means the range you can add or you can apply VRR to the game, and then you can actually see that the game works in the range between 48 and 60 Hertz without any stuttering. But as soon we're falling below the 48 Hertz or frames in this way, in this case, stuttering again. But the problem is we just have a 60 Hertz mode. To have LFC work, we need, it's a mandatory feature, a mandatory feature actually, we need to have a 120 Hertz mode, okay? Otherwise LFC can't work, okay? So that's why I need to wait for the 120 Hertz update for Godfall, and then I can do testing, and I hope that LFC works in this game, because, and I said this already in my other video to Ghostwire Tokyo, if Sony really did not activate LFC below the VRR range, that's a big fail in my opinion, a very big fail. And you will see it as soon you have a frame rate below 48 frames per second, and this happens in Elden Ring as well. You will not have any benefit over the Xbox Series X, because if LFC is not working, you will have stuttering, and the Xbox Series X will run very nice compared to the PlayStation 5 version. But again, we have to wait for official patches. And this is, I like to say this also, because everybody is talking about we need to have a patch, we need to have an update. So let's say it like this. If you look at the HDMI VRR specifications, there is no need for any game to support HDMI natively. Let's say it like this, okay? Because all what HDMI VRR is doing is adjusting the refresh rate to the frames per second. That's all what it is, okay? You can, and this is what I read, you can force or disable HDMI VRR. This is what I read. The same as you can force or disable FreeSync, okay? You can force this by sending a comment to the GPU, hey, do not do this, okay? You can do this, but what's the point actually? What is the point to not activate this feature, okay? The only thing why we need updates or patches for the PlayStation 5 games is to add a 120 Hertz mode, and of course maybe to tell the game, hey, now we have a VRR option enabled, maybe unlock the frame rate, okay? Because most of the games actually have a locked frame rate, but to have the full experience, we like to have, of course, 60 frames plus, up to 120 FPS, like in Spider-Man and Ratchet & Clank. This is the only reason why, in my opinion, we need updates or patches, but not for the general function of HDMI VRR. We don't need any update or patch for this. But maybe I'm wrong again. So just put it in the comment section what you think about this, and I'm more than happy to answer. And yeah, we take it from there. And now I wrap up this video because I'm preparing my next one. Thank you very much. I see you next time. Bye.